Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to Maple Leaf Customs. I'm Andrew, and on the bench today is a 1:64 scale Hot Wheels Custom 62 Chevy hot rodded pickup truck. It's slammed right down to the ground. Not my favorite look, especially with the front wheels being recessed so far back you can hardly see them. This is my entry into the Four Horsemen's Invitational for December, and my job is to turn this into a working man's shop truck. So it's going to get a serious dressing down today. I can promise you this is going to be fully detailed and fully weathered. You can see a plastic base on this casting, a chrome interior, super realistic. I'll swap out those hot rod wheels, and that colored glass, you know I'm going to do away with that. Off go the tampos and the original black paint. No real fight there. And this is my German kitchen cleaning product, which I accidentally discovered is a great chrome stripper too. I want to give a special shout out today in the hobby community to Diecast for you to see. Phil has had his new channel up since about late August. About 100 videos are uploaded already. He's very prolific that way. And you're going to see his great collection, unboxings, mail calls, etc. Check it out, and I'd like you to help Phil get some traction with that really good new channel. Tell him Andrew sent you by from Maple Leaf Customs, okay? Thank you. The first big change that I'm going to make on the Custom 62 was cutting off the flatbed, which requires cutting the back half of the plastic interior as well. I use a bench vise to hold anything whenever I use my jeweler's saw, and you should too. And notice how softly I was holding that. These are not cut with the force that you put on it. Let the blade do the work, and I have found that I break very few blades by doing it. Takes a few extra strokes, I'm sure, but it saves me money in buying replacement blades. So this is my final build and video for 2021. What a year. The COVID numbers in Switzerland, where I live, are worse than ever. Doom and gloom on the news. I really hope that whenever you tune into one of my videos, you have a brief escape from all of that. I want to say thanks to each and every one of you who have faithfully followed my channel or just started to watch this year. I sure appreciate all of your feedback and insights and advice. It's just a hobby for me, so you don't get to see real pro work here. But I really have lots of fun doing it, and my hope is that the kids who are the main recipients of my finished cars will be happy with a little gift, and that you'll get a kick out of watching these videos too. So take a moment right now and get all subbed up and hit that notification bell for good stuff that's coming in the new year. I film all these steps in the order that I actually do them in real time, so it looks like I jump around from here to there, but it's all part of the process. I ended up having to cut out the exhaust tips from the plastic interior back half that was removed and adding them onto the plastic base, so I put a little bit of filler in there and let that dry up, so it looks like one original piece now. I sanded it down and primed it in the same rust color as the cap. And I use a pen just to put a couple of highlights on there. And I use a toothpick. If there's any over painting, and there always is, that comes off. It's going to get well weathered anyways, so any little mistakes will be covered up. I 3D printed this chunk of machinery that's going to end up on the flatbed for some realism. And is most often the case, if it's possible, I cut out the little pizza pan steering wheel and replace it with one of my own 3D printed versions. Looks a lot better. This is kind of the look that I'm going for right here, all rusted with a flatbed on the back. In today's rusting technique, I'm using some salt chipping. You wet down the model with a little mist from a spray bottle, and then generously sprinkle regular table salt on top. So ultimately, when this is dry, and that's important, whatever color is applied on top of the salt is not going to cover it, and the rust will show through underneath. Watch what I do, and you'll understand clearly what the process is here. I mixed up a light gray blue, which I thought was period correct. I set the pressure fairly low, about 18 to 20, so I don't blow away the salt chips. About 20 minutes later, take an old toothbrush, and look at that. It's a very realistic effect that you get, and it's very easy and it's economical. Give that a try and see how it works out for you. And be sure to leave a comment below and tell me what your favorite weathering and rusting techniques are. I like to make sure there's some part of these old trucks that is off-colored, so I mix up a little bit of orange, and I'm going to turn the driver's door into a primered replacement piece, following the shot lines, and I think it looks real if I do this with a paintbrush. Passenger side front quarter panel also gets an off-color treatment in a kind of a mottled yellow. And that color and the rust on top of the base looks like a good contrast to me. Remember, lots of weathering is still to come. The toothbrush comes out again for a little touch-up. And I put some contrasting black on the steering wheel replacement. Okay, I've got a big bag of extra wheels that I recently got in an eBay haul, so I do away with the hot rod slicks, and I found something more appropriate for a working man's truck. And most importantly, to change the ride height, I added my own axle tubes. And I've got singles on the front and dualies on the back. And I just have to paint up the rims to be matching with each other. And while that paint dries, I focus on another quickie little mini diorama. And I printed this old weathered looking Chevy parts sign from Google Images and Mod Podge on top to hold it all down. I'll use that at the end for the glamour shots. There's probably 2 or 3 different coats of black wash that go on the exterior, and today I'm putting it on the inside bench seat as well as on my DIY wooden flatbed to make everything look aged. It's a 1962 model, remember? And I do touch up the front grille. And I've done a little extra work on the chassis on the bottom. Notice these suspension arms here. They're not working suspension. It's just for cosmetic purposes. And I paint that up. And here's something I've been wanting to try. You know what? This car is 60 years old. And old Zeke's been in and out of that thing so many times since he bought it that the stuffing is coming right out of the driver's seat. I thought that was a fun little touch. I hope you'll be able to see it at the end. And I've changed the smoked glass into a clear plastic piece. And even though that's going to get heavily weathered and mudded up as well, I thought it would show off better on a clear piece. I affixed that with a hot glue gun, and it looks like that. Bueno. I love my new vacuum forming machine. They're everywhere now and the prices are coming down, so I expect a few more guys will be getting those. There's so many applications for it in this hobby. This is not the final assembly, but I am putting bits back together so any final weathering will be consistent from the front to the back. And you can see I got good clearance on my replacement truck wheels. A little bit of panel liner into the recessed parts of the grille and around the headlights gives them a more realistic appearance as well. I probably worked on this for the whole week, as with most of my jobs, and I'm in no big hurry to get it all finished, so as I think of details, I add them. Q-tip takes away any extra panel liner, and it's time to put the flatbed back on. I want to make sure I've got good clearance, especially on the back, and I sure do. The dualies are rolling as they should. Typhus corrosion gives a very good 3D effect. It's so thick, I use it very sparingly in places where I think there would be some extra rust or mud that's thrown up from the wheels. Single channel logo goes on the door that is not a panel replacement. Spare tire on the back that I put a little bit of aged weathering on, and out come the Tamiya powders for this piece of machinery on the back, as well as some dusting on the whole truck from the front to the back, top to the bottom. I thought a little oil spill here or there would add to the realism as well, so I do that with some Nuln oil. And remember, I removed the back half of the truck bed and the interior, so there's actually nothing for this screw to go into, but I do put one back in for cosmetic purposes. And the license plates, brake lights, tail lights, and indicators go on with a decal. This little touch is going to ensure that this does not go to the Goodwill shop for kids, because these tiny mirrors could be broken off, but I really think license plates and side mirrors add so much to these small models. There's that big chunk of whatever it is, air conditioning on the back. That's the payload for the flatbed, and I put a little bit of chain on there to hold it in place. Finito. Let's have a closer look. I have to say I'm really pleased with the overall authenticity of the look I got. I even put some mud on the windshield and wiped away where I thought the wipers would clean it. Did you notice that? The rust effect is very realistic. I like the new wheels that I got with the steely rims on them. The rear end looks good with the license plate, and the lights and those side mirrors make a big impact in my opinion. Don't you agree? There's my drive shaft and the suspension that I added and detailed on the bottom. I think the flatbed gives it a working man's shop truck feel. Much different than the hot-rodded version that I started with. Can't even see those front tires the way they're recessed back in there. So much better. Here's some glamour shots from all different angles to show you what I did. I thought it was fully detailed and fully weathered in this case. I wanted to end up the year on a really good note, and I want to thank the 4 Horsemen for sponsoring all the invitationals through this year, this being the last one, and I look forward to 2022 and doing some more. This will not go to the Goodwill store because it's not kid-friendly with all those breakable pieces, but I do have some adult collector friends who are grateful recipients of these. Thank you for visiting my channel today and regularly all through the year. I appreciate it so much. I wish you a very happy new year. Drive carefully. It's coffee time.